Welcome to another episode of Class Haven Farms. So what are we doing today? Well, I thought I would go over my woodcutting kit and what I use to take into the woods to buck logs up and bring it home so that I can have firewood for the family. Firewood videos seem to be pretty popular here on my channel, and I've had a lot of questions from people on some of the things that I use and products and things like that. So I thought maybe this would be a good time to go over. Alright, so welcome back. Thanks for tuning in and kind of following me along. So I thought today would be a good idea to kind of go over my woodcutting kit. Before I go any further, make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, just kind of give me some support, and leave a comment. I love talking back and forth with you guys. The other thing to think about is every Saturday morning I release a new video. So I've been pretty consistent with this. So 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I always put a new video out. Every Saturday, so look for me to continue to do that. Every once in a while, I might put two videos out in a week. It just kind of all depends on my work schedule and what I have going on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. So for those of you that this is your first time to the channel, welcome. I hope you kind of learned something out of this. That's my whole reason for doing this. So the chainsaw that I use, I have the Husqvarna 455 Rancher. I've done some other videos on it, kind of did a review and kind of did a tune-up video on it, so make sure you check those out. So the gas oil mixture in this is a 50-to-1 mixture. So for those of you that haven't seen some other videos, I like to use all Husqvarna products. That's the way I am. John Deere tractors, I use John Deere filters, John Deere everything. Same thing with my chainsaws and some other power tools. I try to always use what the manufacturer recommends. So years ago, I've had this saw for 5 years now. This is just a 2.6 ounce can of the Husqvarna synthetic blend oil. So again, it's a 50-to-1 mixture. So you just need one of these and put it in with a gallon of gas. All right. I use 93 octane gas. This actually, when you get the metal cans that you would get if you bought a saw, a lot of times they'll give you 2 or 3 free cans. The octane on that is a 95 octane. Of course, it's hard to find 95 octane around, so I get 93, and at least around where I'm from, 93 octane doesn't have ethanol in it, which is another reason. Try to keep ethanol from being in your saws and your mowers and things like that. It just saves you a lot of grief and headache on the back end. So I just use one of these. Again, it's a 2.6 ounce, and it's the Husqvarna synthetic blend. Once this can's empty, I'll dump this in there. And then I'll put 93 octane, put 1 gallon in, you're good to go. And then what I do is when I need more oil mixture, I just buy the big can from my Husqvarna dealer, and then I can just dump this in there and fill this up to this line right here. And then I can just throw that in my bucket, and I have it in case I need it while I'm out in the field. So that's just what I do. It's just something easy and just you always get it right. So I do this with my wife. So my wife knows, hey, if I need you to get gas, make sure you grab one of these and throw it in there and we're good to go. The bar and chain oil that I use, again, is the Husqvarna X-Guard. This is the all season. So I just get a 1 gallon jug or 2 gallons, depending on what I got going on. I will tell you guys here lately, I've been cutting a lot of wood. So I just went to my Husqvarna dealer, which I will put a link in the description to their website from the 231 Farm, Home, and Pet Center. So that's where I bought my saw. And yeah, you know what? I could probably buy this somewhere else and maybe be a little cheaper, but I just kind of try to give back to my local community. My Husqvarna dealer is a local business. And when I say local business, I mean the owner, Erin, she graduated a year before me from high school. So they are a very local business. So I try to support them as best as I can. So I use that as my bar and chain oil. All right, so let's kind of get into this. First thing that I have is some safety equipment. If you're using a chainsaw, safety needs to be paramount. So I have this helmet here. Again, it's Husqvarna. My wife got it for me for Christmas, so thanks, babe. Appreciate it. So it's got the helmet. It's got your face shield here. The thing that I like about this face shield is that it's a mesh, so it's not going to fog up. You know, when you get safety glasses, like just your generic safety glasses here, they fog up. This doesn't fog up, so I do like that. And it's got your ear protection here on the side, excuse me, to keep your hearing protected. Sorry. All right, next thing I got are my chainsaw chaps. I highly recommend that you guys get chainsaw chaps and you wear them, okay? I think sometimes we get overconfident. I mean, yeah, I've cut a lot of wood with that saw in my time, but it doesn't take much to have a brain fart, and if you cut through your leg, you got a problem. So this is there to protect you. So get some chainsaw chaps. Now, one thing that I would like to do is right now I just kind of carry them like this, throw them in the back seat of my truck when I'm going out to cut. I would like to get a milk crate, just set these in the milk crate along with my helmet, and maybe then I don't have to carry the bucket around. Maybe I can just transfer everything in the milk crate. But right now I don't have a milk crate, so I've just been carrying them around. But that would be some of my future plans. All right, so kind of getting into it. Let's get into the bucket. So what I have here are some gloves. Now, these are the gloves. This was a whole Husqvarna kit that my wife got me for Christmas. I use these just for cutting with the saw. Once I get done bucking all my logs, I take these gloves off and I put some other gloves on, because these are nice lightweight, but they're good to have when you're holding a saw so you're not tearing your hands up with the saw. But if you're grabbing logs and moving logs around, you're going to tear these up. So I just use those for when I'm bucking. Once I'm done bucking, I take them off and swap my gloves out. I always make sure I got some safety glasses on me, so if I got to use a wedge and a maul to split some big stuff down, put these on, protect my eyes from any kind of shards or anything that might come in there. So it's always good just to have some safety glasses with you. I always make sure I have a funnel just in case I need it to fill the saw up with oil or gas or whatever. So I was just a little cheap, 99-cent funnel that I probably got years ago. The next thing that I have here, and actually before I get to that, I'll go to this. It's just a little cheap hatchet. Nothing spectacular. It's not like a nice felon axe or anything, but just something small, compact. A lot of times I'll keep this on me, especially if I'm driving my felon wedges in, if I'm bucking a log or something. Again, I only have the one chainsaw. I would recommend having two chainsaws. I just don't have one right now because it just costs a lot of money. But these things save my tail, because if that thing ever gets hung up, these can help me get my saw out. So felon wedges are great for felling trees. They're also great for bucking your logs up. And as you can kind of see, the last big oak tree that I did, which I did a video on that, just kind of got a little bite of it. It was cold that day, so it broke. So, and I'm going to put a plug out to him. Homestead Jay just did a video on refurbishing these. So thanks, Jay. I'm definitely going to take you up on that, and I'm going to try to fix this when I have time. That way I can keep them going. The next thing I have here, this is a bark stripper. I had to get this a couple years ago because of a huge poplar that my wife signed me up for. It was like 50 inches around. It was huge. And of course, it got moved by a big excavator. So there was mud and stuff all caked up in the bark. And the minute I would start cutting on it, it was just eating my saw because it had so much dirt and mud. So what I did was I bought this and would just go around and trim the bark off where I was going to make my cut. That way I didn't have to worry about, because I looked at it like this. Well, you know what? I could just cut on it and then I'm going to have to sharpen it, or I can take the time, instead of sharpen it, just strip some of that bark off where I'm making a cut and make it a cut. So I just keep that. The other thing that I use this for is this handle here is about 14 inches. 16 inches puts me right to about here. So I use this to mark my wood a lot of times. 14 inches is perfect for the two wood stoves I have here in my house. So I mark a lot of my wood with this. And the way I mark my wood is sidewalk chalk. Sidewalk chalk. So you go up to the log, before you go to bucket, I'll put this on the end of the log, and then I can mark it here, and then I can move this over, set this where that mark is, and mark it again. Just for me, especially after I get done cutting and I'm letting the saw cool down or whatever the case may be, I'll go over to the next log and start marking it. Sidewalk chalk, you can get really cheap at your big box stores, especially in the fall time because summer's over and the kids aren't outside playing anymore because it's getting cold. So they put the huge buckets of sidewalk chalk out there for like $2 for 200 pieces of sidewalk chalk. So I always pick that up. Just have a rag in here just because you can always use a rag. The next thing that I have is a little grease gun. So my 455 Rancher, on the end of the bar, it has a little needle here to where you can grease this. So I've seen these in Tractor Supplies and things like that, where they sell these little grease guns that once you run out of the grease, it's done. You just throw it out. So you spend $7 or $8 on this little grease gun, and when you're done, you chuck it out. Well, this I can reuse over and over and over, and the only thing I need to do is buy a little refill grease canister. So it's got a little needle on it. That's perfect. So go to your auto parts place, buy one of these, keep it in your kit, and then you can just reuse this, and you can buy a pack of these for, this is just a general purpose grease. And I always grease my bar up after every time that I fill gas and bar and chain oil. Then I just pump the grease in. So just keep that there. The next thing I have here in my bucket is just a 1 quart of the bar and chain oil. And a lot of times, and here lately, just because I've been working so much on the weekends on my regular job, that I might only have 2 or 3 hours to go cut on. So I have a buddy right now, I'm working on 3 trees at his place. Then I got the guy, another buddy of mine, that has the big red oak and some of the poplar, so I'm still working on that. And I got 2 more phone calls. Now these are all cut up. I went and looked at them this week, but they're all cut up. I just got to haul the wood out, so at least I don't have to cut that. But with that being said, I worked all weekend last weekend. So I worked all day Saturday, all day Sunday. I had 3 hours on Saturday morning to cut from like 8 to 11. Excuse me. And then I cut again on Sunday afternoon after I got off work at 1 o'clock, and I cut till about 5. So with that being said, there was no sense in me taking this huge thing because I was not going to burn through that much bar and chain oil and fuel. So I just take this little one, then I can fit everything in my bucket. Also inside my bucket are my little cans for my gas mixture, right? So instead of carrying that 1 gallon can, I have 4 of them. And again, 95 octane is what you get it when you buy from the store. They give you these cans. A lot of times they'll give you 2 or 3 of them, but it's 95 octane. I love these cans. Don't throw these cans out. As you can see, this one's got some wear on it because I keep it in here. Sometimes at work, and I can't really go into where I work and some of the things that I do just because I can't. But there are times where I have to work storms and things like that, and I take my chainsaw with me, especially hurricanes, snowstorms, whatever. Chainsaw goes with me. Well, you guys know, you have this in a sealed car, right? Whether it's in the trunk or whatever, your car's going to smell like gas. Your car doesn't smell like gas with these cans. So that's why I like to keep them. So just a little tidbit for you guys, works out really well for me. I'm not sitting in the car for, for 12, 14 hours, however long it is I'm working, and having to smell that. But it's nice to know that I have that saw in case I have a tree fall. I'm not trying to get stuck out there. So I try to make sure I can take care of myself. The last thing that I have here in the bucket are just my splitting wedges, which I showed you guys in the last video I did. So I have all 3 of them in there. Again, sometimes when I get a job for cutting trees up, I get all my firewood for free. It's usually friends or people that are my friends know people that are having trees cut down. So sometimes I don't really know what I'm walking into. So I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So I just kind of take everything. So that takes care of my bucket. Now we'll go into my little Stanley toolbox. All right, so in here, again, kind of talked about it, just the grease for my grease gun. Talked about the sidewalk chalk, so I'll take that out. All right, so the next thing I have here is just a little flat pocket screwdriver. So it really comes in handy if you get your bar, gets a whole bunch of sawdust and stuff caked up in there, and you notice you're having a problem. You can pop your chain off, and just this thing fits perfect down in those tracks to clean them out. So I always keep that with me. The other thing that I have here, just some extra files. can never have too many files on you. I keep my scrunches in here. So this is the nice long one. And then this is the one that came with the saw when I bought it. And then I just have another one that has kind of a different size on it. Every once in a while you might be cutting with somebody else and maybe they have a different size. So this is one I had for, I don't even know why I had that, but I have it. So I just keep those in my little toolbox. The next thing I have, just a little Phillips screwdriver, because there are some things that I need a Phillips for to work on my saw out in the field. I have my white marker, because again, I showed you guys when I go to sharpen my chainsaw, I just mark my link. So I mark my link, and that kind of lets me know where my link is and what link it was that I started sharpening. So I keep that in there. I take this top tray out. That will bring me to my file. All right, so just keep this with me. This goes out in the field. Then the next thing I have is I have 2 used chains that are sharpened. So I keep those down in the bottom. All right, so I have 2 used ones. And then I always make sure I have a brand new one. Now, one of my last videos, I talked about how I just try to use Husqvarna stuff all the time. Well, my problem with that was my dealer didn't have this and I needed it. So I just had to buy another one. So I bought this from just a local hardware store, so I'm still trying to support the local people. But I always try to make sure I have a brand new chain in with me all the time. Next thing I have here is a stump vise. All right, stump vise. Best thing to have with you if you need to sharpen your blade out in the field. So I can take a stump vise, I can take my hatchet, I can knock that down in a big log, and it's got a vise here, so I can put the bar inside here, tighten it up. It just keeps my chainsaw secure, so if I need to sharpen it, I can out in the field. Very last thing I have here in this kit is just an extra tensioner screw. So I have had a problem once before where that got bent, so I just make sure I have an extra one. So guys, that wraps it up for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, just kind of going through my kit. So make sure that you like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Remember, new video every Saturday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll see you on the next one.